Welcome back, everyone. Mike McConville one more time for StringTechWorkstations, Stratford, Ontario, Canada. Number one question today: how much does humidity matter? Well, have a look at these frets along this ebony fingerboard on this classical. They are pretty well lifting up all the way along. Not only are the frets lifting, but the actual fingerboard itself has become slightly concave. That's how dry this guitar got. There's a couple of cracks here in the top as well, also a direct result of the wood just drying right out. The customer that now owns the guitar, he bought it used, knows all about humidity, and he has a proper humidifier in the case, but in this instance the damage has already been done. So first and foremost, all of these frets are coming out. We're going to correct the fingerboard, complete refret, and get this guitar back to top playing condition. As you can see, another telltale sign is that bubbling of the lacquer on the fret ends, telling you that the wood shrinks, the frets don't, and that is eventually what ends up happening. These frets are literally like razor blades right now, and they would easily draw blood if you just ran your hand along there. But we're not going to need to worry about that because these are all coming out. We'll make whatever corrections we need to make on the fingerboard itself, and we will install all new frets. So just to illustrate, across the width of that fretboard, and you can see the light seeping under that straight edge, indicating that concave form that the fingerboard has gone to since this extreme lack of humidity. Now that all the frets are out, we'll make all the corrections we need. Of course, a very healthy fingerboard, lots to work with here, and then we'll continue with the refret. I've got a 20 thou feeler gauge here that goes into that slot. The width of the combined tang and bead is 32 thou. Although that 20 thou fits in there, you know, it's a little loose. It's closer to 22. So what that means, we've got a 32 thou thickness on the tang and bead combination. So that gives us 5 thou, 5/1000ths of an inch of compression on each side of the wall of the saw curve. And for ebony, that works pretty good. I did open the leading edge of all the slots with a triangular file, and that is a good compression fit. There's no more concave form across the fingerboard. I did actually put a hint of a radius. Many modern builders, classical guitar builders, actually do that. Put a slight, very slight radius across the width of the fingerboard. When you're doing a refret on ebony, sometimes these minute little adjustments, I'm crushing the bead here to make the combination of bead and tang just a little bit narrower, so we're not forcing anything. Depending on the hardness of the fret and the hardness of the actual ebony, we want it to be tight, but not to be too tight. So that's why I'm just giving it that little extra by crushing the bead a little bit, getting just a little bit better press fit so that you don't exert too much force to drive that fret home. Good. I think the thing that people don't realize is that there's a huge difference between the hardness of ebony versus maple or rosewood. And just so you know, with the hardness of this particular piece of ebony, I've opted to crush the bead down to about 27 thou. Without too much force, I can send that fret home. I basically run over that bead and tang combination twice and just squeeze that bead down so that we end up at about 27 thou. To change it up again for these last few frets. Now the true Spanish heel on this guitar actually gives us good solid support even over the soundboard at this point. The whole integrated authentic Spanish heel extends a tongue of mahogany support right up to this fret here, and the foot portion on the back of the Spanish heel goes right up to that first cross brace on the back, and that really solidifies that neck to body junction. As you could see, it was as much work putting in those two little pieces at the sound hall properly than it was to put in a half a dozen of the regular frets. I start with the 80 grit just to get all that real craggy stuff off. I was surprised how thick-skinned this finish was, especially for a classical guitar. So we're going to work this so that we make all the telltale signs go away. So that's our 120 grit. This is our 180 grit. Here is our 320 grit. It's 400 grit. .600 grit. And 600 again. Some steel wool. So this is a little dab of 3M Final Finish, their ebony compound, and that's just to kind of give it the finished touch. I've got some low heat burn-in stick, which is essentially like a wax to kind of fill in any other trace marks. When I'm done here, I'll flip it over, show you the other side, so you can compare apples to apples and see what we started with and what we end up with.